Hello, beautiful mama. In today's video, I want to share with you my experience during the 4th trimester. And I also want to talk about a really important postpartum condition that you may have that you have no idea that you have. Really important. Coming up. Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited you are here. My name's Nicole. I'm a mama to 2 beautiful kiddos, youngest being 4 months and a few days. Well, by the time you're watching this, definitely 4 months. I'm also a pediatric occupational therapist, a conscious parenting coach, as well as a certified lactation counselor. So if any of these things sound interesting to you, or generally you're just down to listen to people who will help make motherhood easier on you, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button below. All right, guys, I haven't done like a sit down, let me share my experience since my pregnancy video or birth story video. So I thought it'd be a great time to come on here and talk about the 4th trimester, or how my postpartum experience has sort of unfolded, and a really important discovery that I came across that I was like, oh my gosh, I dealt with this with my first child, had no idea. And I'm only now discovering this condition and wrapping my mind around it with my second child. So I want to share this really important condition with you because you may be going through this and have no idea that it actually has a label. Okay, so let's talk about the 4th trimester. For those of you who aren't familiar with the 4th trimester, this is a term that was coined to really describe, first of all, babies' experience outside of the womb and how most babies could benefit from a 4th trimester, although physically, no thanks for us moms, right? But that there's this really big adjustment period that not only babies have to go through coming out of the womb, but us, our bodies, our hormones. So the 4th trimester is really about taking care of mom and baby as they adjust to life outside of pregnancy and life outside of the womb. And if this isn't your first rodeo, you know that postpartum hormones and conditions can be a wild ride. I mean, ranging from postpartum anxiety to postpartum blues to postpartum depression. A lot of us deal or will experience some iteration of this at some point in time. And so first, just speaking about that and saying like, this is common. You're not alone, and you're also not weird. Like, this is very normal, and our bodies go through a lot. Birthing a baby oftentimes is a traumatic experience for us physically and emotionally. So just first, sending you love. You made it, you're here. And second of all, I just really want to chat about my experience and some things that I found to be really helpful in terms of helping me heal at every level. My first pregnancy, I talk about this in an older video. So if you're really interested in my first birth story, you can type in my birth story on my channel and you can hear all about how that went down with Kai. But the second time, thankfully, was much more straightforward and less traumatic. And so right off the gate, I've held both experiences of, while this was a really traumatic birth experience and I had difficulty, or it took me longer to bond with my baby and feeling really left out from what society paints as this euphoric moment when you give birth and your baby's on your chest and Bambi's dancing and magic fairy dust is sprinkled all around you. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't my experience the first time around, but I had something closer to that the second time around. So holding both and knowing that if you fall somewhere between or one end of the spectrum or the other, that's all normal. It's all okay. And I think the more we talk about the variations of our experiences, the more that we feel held in society and the more we feel like we're a part of a community that has varying experiences and that all of it is normal and all of it is okay. Okay, so that's first and foremost. So I had a happier, more euphoric experience the second time around, but still we really need to nurture ourselves, even if we have a beautiful experience, right? So I will say that the second time I had the gift of hindsight. Even though my first time was really traumatic, going through this a second time, I understood that I will be okay. I might have times where I'm feeling really overwhelmed and that it's really challenging, but I know that I will make it, I will survive, and with the right resources and tools and support, I'll be okay. So that gave me the gift of some sort of relief before even going through this 4th trimester. The second thing I will say is that I was much quicker to be proactive in seeking support. The first time I didn't really know what to expect, and so I wasn't proactive in setting myself up for potential support. The second time I had people on standby. I was seeing my acupuncturist. I have beautiful friends and family that were helping me in terms of supplements and things that I could do to really help keep my hormones in check and not feel the drastic dip from pregnancy hormones to postpartum hormones, which I experienced the first time. So things that I found helpful. 1, acupuncture. And I really only did it a few times postpartum, and that was enough for me to feel like I was emotionally stable, more stable, and I wasn't feeling the crazy ups and downs. So that's something I would recommend. If you guys watch my pregnancy videos, you know that I was receiving acupuncture through a good chunk of the pregnancy, half of my pregnancy, I would say. So I just continue that for several sessions after the fact, and it really, really helped me with my postpartum anxiety, which is something I suffered from the first time around. So I would highly recommend that. And something that my acupuncturist recommended was Drenamin. This is a supplement that is just so helpful. Literally, it almost had an immediate effect. I took it for a day or two and I noticed a huge shift in terms of my calmness and my ability to manage my anxiety. So Drenamin was a huge supplement and support to the feelings of up and down that I was experiencing initially. So something I discovered probably right towards the tail end of my pregnancy was a condition called d-mer. It's D-M-E-R, and it stands for dysphoric milk ejection reflex. You're probably like, I have never heard of that term before. I'm a certified lactation counselor and I'm only now just finding out about this. Like literally heard it 4 months ago for the first time. And when I read about this condition, I thought, this is me. I struggled with this with Kai, and after I gave birth to Naya, it was the same thing. And really a source of a lot of my anxiety and that hormonal up and down that I was feeling. So I felt so much gratitude to have a label or a condition or a context to understand what I was feeling and not think that this was just muddled within the postpartum experience. Like, no, this is a thing. So let's talk about d-mer. So d-mer is essentially a glitch, for lack of a better term, that occurs between the different hormones that are happening to release milk from the breast. It has to do with dopamine. It also has to do with other hormones that facilitate our letdown. So if you bring baby to breast, if you're nursing, if you're breastfeeding, and you feel like when your baby first latches and starts suckling and you feel that letdown, that you have emotions of sadness or depression or anxiety that are fleeting, but they seem to happen right at letdown. So maybe it's 30 seconds, maybe it's a few minutes, but you feel this emotional like melancholy. You may have d-mer. And I was having this, and the thing is you're like, okay, 30 seconds, it's fleeting, no big deal. But especially in the very early days where you are nursing round the clock, that makes up a really big portion of your day, and riding such highs and lows. So we have the oxytocin, which is the bonding experience, right? The bonding hormone where we feel such love and high and joy and I'm a mama and this is my beautiful baby. And then you bring baby to breast and all of a sudden you're feeling this down and you're like, I don't know why I'm sad or I'm anxious. It's exhausting. It's 1,000% exhausting. And then people wonder why we feel crazy or out of our mind, and we don't have the understanding, or we don't really understand the workings or the mechanisms of the hormones and why we're riding these highs and these lows. And when I read about this, I just thought, oh, thank you. Like, it feels good to understand it. And the beautiful thing, if you have this or you experience this, is honestly just the awareness. So you feel it and you're saying, okay, I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling really sad. And you're aware of it and you let it pass. A lot of times you don't even really need to do anything. It's just the knowing that it's happening and it's gonna pass. Maybe counting it down if it's usually 30 seconds or a minute, and knowing that you're gonna move through this and you're gonna experience more of a homeostatic place in a short period of time. And I found that d-mer is really intense in the very early days of your postpartum experience, and it tends to wean a couple of months or a few months later. So Naya's now almost 4 months old, and it's very mild now. Most times it doesn't even cross my radar because, as opposed to riding this wave in the early weeks and months, it's more like this. And it doesn't really catch my attention. Now I'm more focused on the fact that I'm dehydrated and really thirsty when I first bring Naya to breast, as opposed to the emotional dip. Before, that was what grabbed my attention, and less on the fact that I was dehydrated and really thirsty. And now it's flipped, where I have just a mild wave that I'm riding, and I can focus more on the fact that I should be drinking a bunch of water. So I really wanted to share this with you because it's rare, but for those who suffer from this, it can be really confusing and isolating, or it can make you feel like you're just all over the place and you don't understand why. So there can be feelings of loneliness and sadness within this because you just can't understand what's going on. So I wanted to give you some context, and I want to put this out there. So if you believe that you've experienced symptoms like this, and this is your first time hearing about it, or you felt lonely because you didn't understand this before, leave a comment below. I would love to know more about what you've experienced, if it's different from the experience that I've shared with you, and what helped you move through this if you're on the other side of it, or things that you are currently seeking out to help you through this. It's always nice to know that there are a community of mamas who are experiencing similar things and that we are not alone. So I hope this video was helpful for you in your 4th trimester, or things that you can do or try to support you in this really important time of healing. You are so not alone. I'm sending you so much love, and I will catch you in the very next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.